It is running late and it will be here, but again, that's part of the reason we have to go a certain order on the agenda.
Okay,
Is there some that are perhaps more necessary for his legal opinion.
okay, thank you. We're ready to start. It's 6 o'clock. Okay, so we have the Board of Adjustments meeting for tonight, September 20th, 2023. It is 6 p.m. and we will now call the meeting to order. We will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
So has anyone signed in, Shannon, for public participation? Okay. Okay, so then the first item is to discuss and consider appointment of officers. So we need an appointment of a chair and appointment of a vice chair. So go ahead.
Chair, second.
Okay,
That was too fast.
okay. So Jim nominated Donna. Dell seconded. Okay. And all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Good for you, Donna.
Yeah.
Okay, and appointment of a vice chair.
Guy here.
What?
Okay, so Dell nominates Jim. So we have a second. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okey dokey, so.
You've done a good job. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kathy.
Well, I haven't known to get.
Okay.
Have you opened yours?
Nope.
Nope.
Finally got me on. You want my copies or do you want to use that? Because you're gonna need something. Yeah, I may use your copies then.
Whoops. It's all right. Trying to raise my taxes. Yeah.
And you just read this, you just have to remember to open it.
You talk to me? You're good at this thing. Okay.
I've never done this before, so y'all have to bear with me. Okay, so it's 6:03. We're going to open the public hearing. Am I doing this right?
Need to do minutes first,
Oh,
please, Chair.
minutes. Okay,
Yes, ma'am. You'll take a motion and a second on item number 2.
Probably skip down a little. The first part is just kind of telling you what's on the agenda, what's coming up. And then we'll
okay.
skip down to where it says the minutes. See the minutes. Oh, good. Thank you.
Always check these off. We're done.
Okay.
Here, you're here.
The same as. Oh, okay. All right.
We need to discuss and consider approval of the September 14th, 2022 meeting minutes.
Can I move to approve the minutes?
I'll second that motion.
Since we have all 5 regular members, the alternates cannot make a motion, second, or vote. Okay,
You can discuss, but not
Yes.
but make a
then Miss
motion or
Kathy
second.
will.
Okay, well then I'll motion to approve the minutes of the September 14th meeting.
I second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you. It's approved. Okay, now the public hearing.
Chair, I would request that item 3 be moved
Okay,
just before item 6. I believe it would be better for our town attorney to be here for that item.
okay, thank you.
So if you'll just,
Do we need a motion?
no, you can do that on your own.
Okay,
And
thank you.
so if you would start with number 4, please.
Okay. Public hearing to consider a variance to regulations found in Bartonville zoning ordinance, section 19.3D. The variance request is to permit the applicant's residential use of an existing dwelling while a new home is constructed on the same property. The property subject to the variance request is located at 496 McMakin Road in the town of Bartonville, Texas, Denton County. The town of Bartonville file number for this application is VAR 2023-002. So now we have
Staff report. We have this application. The applicant is here. If y'all have questions for him, James Kinnemer. This is a resident who's lived in Bartonville for quite some time, and they're building a new home. And what they would like to do is live in the home that they've raised their kids in until that structure is completed. That goes against our ordinances. And so they are requesting a variance to, again, be able to stay in the home during construction. And then at a certain date past that, they would bring that home down so that you do not have 2 residential structures on one parcel. So again, that part of this is all discretionary. That was from Ed Voss. All of these decisions are discretionary. So it's up to this board to make those decisions based on the facts and how they believe that affects the town. Again, there's really not a lot to this other than you're not allowed to have 2 residential structures on one lot. And so this variance is required to allow that to occur.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Okay, is there a time frame once the new residence built before the old residence can be torn down?
That is basically a negotiation if y'all want to approve the variance between the Board of Adjustment and the applicants. During that process, you can decide what that time determinant is. Just to add, staff did not receive any comments via email or phone calls on this variance request for or against.
Do you like to do your presentation?
I don't have one. I'm just here.
Oh, okay. So do I need to still swear him in?
Yes, please swear in
Okay.
the applicant.
Please state your name and your address.
James Kinnemer, 496 McMakin Road.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
James, did you have a proposed time frame for, beyond CO of the new home? Being able to move, get everything done and then take the other one down or do something else that would get that into compliance?
Sir, I was thinking like 6-8 weeks after the right of occupancy for the new house. So I've got someone may try to move the houses off instead of demoing. So we just gotta, schedule all that.
What's the intended time frame for building the house and completion to get to that point?
We are hoping, we're filing for permits this week. So it would be about from start of dirt work, it'd be a 12 to 14 month build. We're trying to avoid paying rent somewhere else, right? That basically it just states that once, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, the way that it reads is that once a file or once a permit is approved for a new build, then it becomes the primary residence, which is a construction project. So the house we're currently living in would be deemed, unlivable, and we would have to move. So we're just trying not to move the family while we construct on that same property.
That's at the end of the staff memo. Again, if denied, they would have to move off property while the new home was constructed. Where they've lived for a long time. And if approved, they would be able to stay through construction. Again, the approximate 12 to 14 months, that would be weather dependent and material dependent. So again, we would want to tie it to the CO if the project went longer as staff, because it'd be a lot easier for us to enforce.
And if approved, could you put a clause in there that said if the building runs into longer and longer issues, there can be a review of it?
That is not typically done. Again, if we tie it to the CO, then there's nobody living in the other house. It's still considered the primary residence, but you would not have two families living. They would not be able to occupy until that CO is issued. So that resolves most of those issues on timing or delay in construction when you tie it to that, because they can't get a CO until final inspection.
Is there enough land that if you decided you didn't want to tear it down, that you would try and sell that house on a separate piece of property?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
It would be we're building behind the house, and that is just kind of aesthetically displeasing. So we
Thank you.
would definitely want to remove it.
How old is that old house?
Ooh, I think that was built in the 60s or the 70s.
Just lived out its life, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's 1,700 square feet and we have 3 kids. We're it's kind of tight. So we're just trying to improve quality of life.
are there any other accessory buildings on the property that would be affected by this, by being in front of the house or anything like that?
There is a accessory dwelling, but it's coming down as well. The driveway is coming straight through that. So it would be required to come down.
Questions? Okay, thank you. Do you want him to stay up here? Or-
Oh, if you'll stay close, but if you'll open the public hearing and go through that, he'll have a rebuttal if anybody speaks about that in the negative.
Thank you very much. I would like to open the public hearing then for those in favor or those opposed. At 6:12. At 6:13. Okay. She said, she did say that nobody sent in anything. I mean, I guess you can ask the audience, can't you?
You can ask the audience if there's anybody that wants
To speak for or against it. Anyone wants to speak for or against? No, okay. Guess we'll close the public hearing and
So it's
discuss
also at 6:13.
at 6:13. Thank you. Well, does anyone have any other questions? Because if not, I would make a motion to approve it, provided we put some kind of restriction, maybe to give him a maximum of 90 days once he gets the CO to remove those 2 buildings or any other buildings that, would be affected. So that would be the house and that little accessory building that he just spoke of.
So the motion would be to approve.
To approve with that stipulation.
Stipulation of 90 days.
I'd give,
to-
I see 90 days, yes.
Okay.
To remove both of those buildings.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. All approve, all in favor, all in favor.
Bill, did you
Oh,
second
can I
that one or
vote?
did Jim?
No, Jim did.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we move to item number 5.
Yes, ma'am.
Public hearing to consider a variance to regulations found in the Bartonville zoning ordinance sections 4.7 and 17.4.c. The variance request is to permit the location of an existing dwelling within the regulatory side yard setback and the location of an existing accessory building without the existence of a primary structure. Both conditions would result from a proposed minor plat to subdivide an existing property. The property subject to the variance request is located on the land situated in the Fuller addition to Lot 1, Keith Survey, abstract number A1643A, Tract 4, and the Newton Alsop Survey, abstract number 64870, Tract 7 in the town of Bartonville, Denton County, Texas. The town of Bartonville file number for this application is VAR 2023-004. Does the staff have a presentation?
Yes, ma'am. The applicant is requesting to, what we have is a minor plat that's hung up and cannot move forward without the decision of this board. They're looking to subdivide the property into 4 2-acre tracts. The zoning is correct. So that is, and to meet the road distance requirements, the frontage along Frenchtown and the dimensional requirements, they are basically proposed to be rectangular lots of about 2 acres each. In that process, Missy's mom's home sits within one of the side yard setbacks for the proposed plat. And then, so you'll have that structure that is too close to the property line. Additionally, on the adjacent lots, you will have an accessory structure, a barn that has been there for a long time without a primary residence. So again, this would be a discussion of, is there a time limit or is there a condition going forward before we permit another primary structure that needs to occur as far as the negotiation? A home could be built behind or adjacent to the barn and possibly make it conforming in the future. The home is the issue as far as there's no way for that to become compliant if the minor plat moves forward, because it'll be sitting in that side yard setback. So again, Missy's here to answer any questions, but those are the basic tenets of this. Is she would like to plat this out to sell the lots. The minor plat looks good, except for these 2 conditions that will exist going forward. We have received one email in favor. It is basically, the address is 1000 Gibbons, and it's someone who's bought 6 acres right there from Missy and really likes the idea of allowing this to go forward. So I'll answer any questions you may have. This one's a little trickier just because you create 2 variances with 1 plat, but again, to keep the continuity and have the plat look like it is in your packet. If you look at your exhibits, you'll have to decide how to address those buildings.
Am I correct in reading that the setback is 15 instead of 20 feet?
I believe that is correct when you get to that.
Had engineers look and see if the lot line could change by 5 feet beside the house?
Makes it tricky because all the lots are very close to 2 acres, and it creates a very strange condition. The discussion was, and Missy can answer that when we get to that point, as far as I don't think she wants to keep that structure long term.
Let me just introduce myself.
Do I?
You want me to go ahead?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Hang on, she needs to swear you in, Missy.
All right, please state your name and your address.
I'm Missy Graham at 4109 Teaberry Court in Flower Mound.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
And he has pictures as well.
Okay.
This is the property that the council recently approved to join together.
Yes, yes, sir.
They
It was the
approved-
rezoning of my mother's just little spot right there. So
Okay.
now it's all in R2.
And the small house has a little barn right beside it.
Yes, yes, sir. If you look, that's my mom's house. This is the one we're talking about. That's close to the line. And then there's a little barn right here, which doesn't cause an issue. There's a separate barn that would be that's the hay barn. That's the separate barn that'll end up being in a completely different plat that somebody would love to build a house there.
So don't leave that standing.
I believe you can. It's a barn. They just want to build a house there. We just can't do any of the platting or selling without us platting. So we need to get the variances because you cannot plat without, and have a single property, which like a barn, something that's not an occupier. So if we could plat this, then we can go ahead and finish the sale of that so he can build a house there. So that's this one. And then the one with the house on it, I want to live there. But I can't do all of this until we plat it out, so I can have that as my plat. And then eventually I do plan on tearing that house down and building a house.
A new house there
Yes,
eventually.
sir. Yeah, I can't wait. I've wanted to live here for 22 years, but I got blocked 22 years ago, so I'm
Okay.
ready.
So that,
Siobhan's, hang on one second, to your question, it's these, actually it will be 5 feet. The variance is for 15 feet, so the house will sit 5 feet from the property line as proposed. And then on the barn issue, there may be an additional variance in the future if where the house is located does not meet the standards of our zoning ordinance. So again, they may have to seek a variance. Whoever buys that lot may need to seek a variance to allow that barn to stay in its current location. If they build behind or anything like that, it just depends.
Could we put a contingency in the variance approval that says a house has to meet the variance requirements?
Is anything wrong with adding that language in a motion? Again, we would still, as it came in for a building permit, we would still have to look at those things, but having that doesn't hurt.
So if she did in fact decide to tear that house down that she chooses to live in, then all of that we decided tonight would just fall by the wayside because she'd have to meet the 20-foot setback at that point. So she'd have to do that. And if she chose not to do that, then she'd
Seek
have to come
variance.
before the board again.
There, I want to like pay back.
Yeah, because I think I saw it today, but I didn't really see any of the big signs saying that, there's going to be there's a hearing or anything. So I didn't know if I was at the right house or not. Is this the one that has like that brown barn with the white door on it to the left of it?
I live right by this, though. There's no signage.
Yeah.
I live on Dyer, so there's.
Well, I was gonna say I was at Frenchtown and Dyer. Is that where this is?
This is, you
It
can't
is.
really see this from the street. This is the hay barn that. like,
Right.
sits back
I
over.
didn't see that. I
The other
thought
one
another
you can't
barn.
see. And it's got a little, we call it the milk barn, so sorry for the terminology, but yeah, I guess you can't really see it, but it won't cause any issues within where the plat will be. The main barn, not the one that's near the little house.
Are these two separate issues or is this all together?
Two
One is for
separate-
the house and one is for the barn, right?
Two separate issues. I'll go back to the,
But they can't
legal
replot
language.
it unless both of them are approved.
right. The plat
Yeah.
cannot go forward unless both variances are approved by the board.
Do you think they'd ever tear that other barn down?
No, I
'Cause it's
mean,
just to the left of the house, right? And it's up kind of far. So
wait, are you talking about the barn that we're talking about here?
no, I'm not.
My mother's barn.
Yeah, because you really could.
Probably, I mean, I think, I look at my husband. The milk barn, I may want to keep the milk barn. I don't know. I just know that I will tear my mother's house.
So wouldn't it be on the separate?
No,
plat? There wouldn't-
the
It'd still
big
be on.
These are, okay, so we got to look at it like one,
It's this.
I think we need to look at everything one at a time because it's getting confusing.
That's what you call the milk barn, the little
But
square.
the challenge.
You'll go to exhibit 2 in your packet.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is your mom's
Yes,
house,
that's the milk, so
and that's your
that,
milk barn, and then that is the barn that you're showing us.
yes.
Where really, if they want to build a house, they kind of got to tear it down because there's no way their
Could put a house
easement
in
to
it.
get in.
Yeah.
That's got to
Unless
come
they
down to
built
build a
that
house. Oh, and then.
But
drill
you
by
can't have
that
the barn.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
they can
barn
go right
can't
there,
be in
because
front
that's
of the
actually
house.
a Pretty spot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, see, that would be my question if you were to build on
Because I
that.
do live there, so yeah, and then me, I'm probably gonna, depending on.
That one you got to put up
Yeah.
somewhere or tell them what exhibit
that make
they're
sense
on.
now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Missy, you understand you can't build the house behind either of these
I do
barns.
not want to build a house behind my mother's. I do not want to keep my mother's house by any means.
But the
Behind the
other,
barn, your mother.
the other barn, without another variance, you cannot build behind. Again, they can request a variance that would come back through this board in the future.
Okay.
But RE2 does not allow for.
I'm totally fine with that.
Well, in fact, I think that actually goes to the bigger barn, like that is on the plat all the way to the east, next to the parcel that is owned by someone else. Because in order to put a house there without tearing down that barn, you would have to drive right by, and then that would need a variance. Yeah, because, yeah. It just is too wide.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the pictures.
do.
It's on page 43.
Yeah, 43 is where you are, but if exhibit 2.
Mhm.
43. Okay.
Yeah, you can. Mhm.
Yes,
This is the barn.
milk barn.
Yes, thank you. Little
This
Bartonville
structure-
history.
Is this the other structure you're talking about? Because
Other one's the big barn, right?
Yeah.
Right there. Yep, that's the big barn.
we did not get, that one did not get flagged for variance, so. I'm not sure why, but that second barn did not get flagged for a variance on this. It is an accessory structure without a dwelling, but it did not get flagged for the variance.
So is it something you wouldn't even address tonight? You'd have to do that later? Mm.
I thought that's what we were noticing for. The barn that doesn't have an accessory dwelling that doesn't have a house.
Okay. Thank you. This one is in compliance. Again, y'all are saying milk barn. I've looked at the property a number of times. I'm a city boy, sorry. Yes, sorry, that is the secondary structure that we're talking about. That is the accessory building without a primary structure, primary dwelling. This one structure is fine. This is also the one that sits within 5 feet of the property line that's proposed.
So basically lot 1 has the barn that they'd have to address tonight. Lot 2 is the one with the house that you're looking at the setback, and then lot 3 and lot 4 don't have anything on them, so they wouldn't be affected at all.
That is correct.
If-
It shows a residence. Does it not have a residence?
No,
Have you ever thought about just turning it into 3 lots instead of 4 and then just moving that one over and then it wouldn't affect that at all?
Quite frankly, what the truth, since this is mine, I don't want to pay taxes here. So this is something that can be sold for someone else to live here. It's 2.33 acres. So why do I want all that? I don't want all that. I'm trying to be a good steward of the land that I inherited. And the best steward I can be is to do the lots this way. So that's why
And you couldn't move that that line over like 15 feet. That wouldn't give 2 acres to that one lot if you did that.
that was the calculation we came up with, is it did not work when they started trying to move the lines.
Even if you did an L at the bottom, even if you gave more in the front.
That we did not look at. Again, we were trying to make sure we were processing the application as it came in,
Got
and
it.
we did not get into big design.
I was about to say, you have to have 200 feet here in order, they're gonna run into issues. So that's why it's just.
On there, they're all right
Just
at
like that.
200 feet.
Yeah, it has to
Yes.
stay 200 feet.
Those are barely there. Jig jogging interior, we did not look at a lot.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, it'll look better like this in the long run with people building houses as well.
But are you considering tearing down the house on lot 2?
Absolutely. Soon as this is all platted and I can like reset mentally, we plan on starting to design the house. I just can't mentally do all that until we have these plats done, because like I said, this was inherited property a year ago.
Just a year ago.
Yes, ma'am. I just inherited it last October.
So Thad, I think we answered the question. If this is approved, will variances have to be requested to build on any of these lots?
Not on 3, not on 4. On
Lots that are impacted by these buildings?
just the ones impacted by these buildings. Again, if Missy wants to build a house while she lives in that house, we'd have the same thing as we had with Mr. Kinnemer. And that she would need to receive a variance for that. Depending on where somebody built their home on lot 1, yes, they would have to seek a variance if they wanted to keep the barn in front of.
So
And then at that point, you could come back and say, well, then they have to tear the house down in 90 days, just like we did earlier.
Absolutely.
yeah, that's
You
what-
still have those controls because again, it all gets processed through and it has to either meet the ordinance or we have to come here.
But if you never decided to build, then that house would live there forever with that barn and you couldn't do anything about it because it would be approved tonight.
Correct.
But that's the way it's been.
Yeah, except it's been 1 lot, not 4 lots. Yeah, okay.
But the person buying lot 3
Yeah, would know it. They would already know it, correct? They'd know all this.
Yes, the
Are
surveyor
these
would go
lots-
out.
Are these lots sold? Do you already have them sold?
Have contracts on 2,
Which 2?
on lot 1 and lot 4.
Lot 1 and lot 4?
So on lot 1,
But I can't do anything until everything's platted.
Right.
can we, that's the one we can put language that says the house must meet, the barn has to stay behind the house. And it must.
Well, I don't think
meet
we have
all
to
the
say
other-
anything. It has to.
It has to.
Yeah.
Again, it wouldn't hurt, but it has to.
Variance is gonna have to
When
be
they go to
requested
build
for
it.
them to get approved.
If they don't.
This variance doesn't let them.
That is correct.
No, this variance just allows them to be able to replat it so they can sell it, and they can't replat it with these conditions without the variance.
That is exactly right.
And we
Right.
can't say in there, whoever buys needs to understand they're gonna have to knock down.
They need to understand that anyway.
Okay.
I mean, they would come before the city would probably ask them, and they need to do their due diligence, so.
And you're saying that it's a locked-in deal of what they gotta do when they come back.
Yes, sir. We can't just approve things that are
Right? And we
in
don't need. to
conflict
add
with the
any-
ordinance.
Need to add any language to the.
No, sir.
So the
You
only
can-
thing not locked in is that if, Missy, if you decided never to tear down that house and you wanted to keep that house and it had a variance, then that would be locked in.
It's a legal non-conforming use. Again, that goes to if it's damaged 50%, then she could not rebuild in that setback. There are standards for that, but it's legal non-conforming at that point.
And if somebody bought lot 3 and they did their survey, they'd realize that they're only 5 foot off the line, and then they'd probably would come up in their questions. So it's not like they'd be hiding anything from them.
So
Okay,
that's the part, I guess, that bothers me the most, that the house sits 5 foot with this survey or future survey from the property line.
well, it might just make lot 3 harder to sell if someone didn't like it, but if they, I mean, she might have it
We're
built
gonna,
up.
we're
before
gonna
that's
give the
sold.
variance that it's okay, right? That the house
You could-
stays.
You
5.
could, if you could approve that tonight, yes.
But only this house, not a new house.
Yeah, yeah, and then if she decides to build, she,
But if she decides not to build and this
Well,
house is still there,
well, then it's,
5 foot
it
from the
stays-
property line,
then it could stay there for another 100 years.
that's, yeah, right.
And legal, I always sit next to Ed, so I always use legal non-conforming, but grandfathered is what is the same thing.
But then she may never sell lot 3. So,
Yes.
okay, I don't have any more questions.
I guess I have one more question. Would us saying okay to this be a precedent for other?
All
land deals?
discretionary. No, it does not. Again, that's Ed in my ear. This does not set precedents. Everything here is discretionary. Y'all can approve or deny any and all of the items tonight based on your discretion of what you view is right.
Is there any way to approve lot 1 variance without approving lot 2? Or are they a package deal 100%?
The plat could not move forward. It's both, or it's really a moot point because the plat could not proceed.
I see.
I think they compromised some at this point by allowing it to become 2-acre lots instead of single acres that was originally. Made my point.
Is everything around it an RE2, or you're not taking like an RE5 and changing it to an RE2 or anything
Oh,
like
no,
that? are we?
no, not at all.
No.
This is
all RE2?
This is already all RE2. It is not, we have not changed the land use plan at all.
Okay. They just happen to have 8 acres.
Right.
They had a lot more. This was done last year where it was a considerable lot split into 2 and then subdivided again.
Yeah, this was the Fuller
Yeah.
tract.
It was, yeah, the
Otis
Fuller tract.
and gosh, what's your other?
David and Cherry.
Cherry, yeah.
Yeah, Cherry Fuller. So
Mhm. So I think, is that why the block shows that the other one still has all the intact at the moment that they
Mhm.
haven't subdivided? So
Yeah,
that was
they
the, it used to be kind of together.
It was subdivided into 3 pieces.
Mhm.
If you,
Comments?
would you like to move? Public hearing and then we can,
Yes. Yes. All right, we will close. Is this what I'm doing?
oh,
No?
we're opening. Staff
Great.
presentation kind of blended into
Okay.
Missy's presentation, so
Okay.
you can open the public hearing.
All right, so now we'll open the public hearing at 6:34. Does anyone here have any
And this is-
opposing or
and
approving?
This is the one that you
questions?
said you had that letter on that they didn't.
I do
oppose
have
it?
one letter that is for this, for these variances.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, you need to be sworn in. What is your name? and
Teresa
your
Rather.
address? Teresa Rather?
Teresa Rather.
Okay. And your address? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, for public hearing, you don't have to swear in. It's only the-
Right.
Sorry, it's only the applicant and staff.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Thank you.
I would like to encourage you all to approve it. Yes,
State your name and your address.
Teresa Rather, 1905 Woodland Boulevard, Flower Mound, 75022. Just to kind of go back in the history a little bit, how it was subdivided in 3 tracks. It was one family. I don't know, you all probably remember them, the Fullers, but it went to 3 of the siblings. So this is the granddaughter. And so her mother had the property and this piece was part of it. And when you all drive by there, it's a really nice estate. Kim Isaacson did it and it's only 1.8 acres. These are all over 2 acres. And the reason why they're all 200 feet in the front to meet your ordinance, but these are going to be beautiful homes. It's going to be what Bartonville wants, you know, the nice estate property taxes for the city. But it is a lovely piece. And just looking on the property from here, it looks kind of, but when you actually go out there, it really lends itself nice to estate lots in the very back. And this barn, just wanted to reiterate that you can't even see it from the street. Missy's house, yes, it's 5 feet, but it's also, no one's going to build that close. And that's where, you know, they're going to build behind. So I just encourage you all to approve it and let's help, you know, Bartonville become what you guys all wanted, which is nice estate properties. So anyway, that's it.
Thank
So
you. Does anyone else have anything to say? Which part?
I was reading, we need to close the public hearing first. I was reading
But you
something.
ended it. Sorry.
Close the public hearing at 6:37. Okay, now to discuss.
I have no further discussion.
Go for it, go for
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So do we need to approve it in sections like lot 1 or lot 2 or?
Just approve it as presented. Yes.
Motion to approve as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Anyone approve? Anyone opposed? Okay.
That, was that unanimous? I'm sorry.
Yes,
All-
all in favor.
Okay, thank you.
Donna, you do get to vote.
Okay. Thank you.
Took me a while to figure that one out.
All right, so that was approved.
So which was the one we had to wait for Ed for?
The Seals Road one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, it's actually number 3 on your agenda. He's on his way. He had another meeting tonight. He should be here shortly. So if we'll move on to 6.
Hold an executive session without him here. Just filling the time.
You could adjourn, but we do not have language on here for executive session. I'm not sure.
It's way, will be okay. We still have this other one to do.
You do have a right to go into an executive session during the course of the meeting to discuss an item on the agenda.
Yes. Then yes, you may go into executive session.
Okay,
Yep. That'd be good.
okay. All right. I move that we,
We want to do 6 first.
pardon,
Do we want to do 6 first? We have one more for that.
That's one on Jeter Road.
yes. I don't know.
I don't know if the applicant is here.
Oh, got it.
That applicant's in.
15 minutes away. Executive session, and then we can cover those 2 when we come back.
Work.
So I need a motion and a second to go into executive session. And is this for legal advice or which agenda item are we going to executive session for?
Which item do you want to go into executive session for?
Primarily three.
Three? Okay.
I don't know about the other.
Okay. So I move that we, just close and go into executive section?
Close open session, convene into executive session at the time, please.
Okay, at 6:40, we will close and go into executive session.
So we'll go back there.
Yep.
Okay. I'll second.
Oh, sorry.
And then a vote.
All in favor? And you guys get to come into executive session too. Well, I don't know. Do we all need to take our computers? If she takes your paperwork, you gonna take your paperwork?
Yeah, then that's.
Even my heartbeat, these are stuck there. No, it's not that. I'm so confused. Thank you.
Yeah, last guy there. Yeah, but Saturday we had that. Well, we got water in the ground, so it's water and loud at from the big minutes.
Thank you.
Five acres, looking at 34 rooftops. There won't be. Contracts and then do 2 acres, 5 acres, 34 residents. I told you, boys. I'm getting it. You guys are all They're gonna build. Vacation over there. They're gonna be around 4,000. Smaller stuff. But, and then the rest of it's all gonna be.
It's still just very odd.
You'll get it. You'll get better. Oh. Our good side is to your eyes. Just trying to. So the initial response. Right.
But they hear the same.
He has that thing. Free miles. They say that stars in there. Or is You'll get it. Yeah, you'll get it.
And then what's everybody just you're trying to get rid of it.
These, Tony says. And this year.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, that's great. I figured Yeah, you're like, so appreciate it. Yes, yeah. We understand. Yeah, basically. Speak their spirit, right? This is all part of the piece of our student check. We get all that stuff. That's. Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah. I think it's made a difference. I know it's annoying. Some people. It's the. Some of them are doing. There's some. And he just built it now. Right. Yeah. That's. She drove by and said, what's going on? It's not moving. Yeah. When we were building our house. Well, my house is built under construction. I'm not in the second story. I figured that out. I read the agenda. So I was interested in discussing that. I drove back there. It makes the bills like five bucks here, I think it's doing some- Music from the phones. It's gonna be, people expect us to, I mean, how much they need there.
Well, they everything nice, they find one out.
We drove. All our time, and there's so. It's a perfect condition.
But they can all, nice, you wanted to, that's like, yeah, so.
They go to that there, Robert Elliott, Robert Elliott.
Oh, you're.
We're at a game last time. It's.
All like, they can all, take them and go to the candy shop.
It's really cool. It's really.
It's not.
Little town. It's near the mall. Really? Yeah. We're doing it. Yeah, celebrating. Right now. But it's not. That's.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, okay. See you later. Nice to meet you. Yeah. I guess like you're. It's good to get. I'll give it. Push it back in later tonight. To keep it. We gotta do our. Yeah, it was bad. Well, I don't know where any roads. You know, keep on warning. But she lived. She was telling me to get out for your coffee. And of course, it's a all dirt road. And she lived there across the back. Really? I grew up, I love my trees.
That would pull off the freeway and say, okay, sure.
Yeah. Okay, 499. Somebody was out. Oh, yeah, so. Let's look at the moving problems that Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm critical with this. I don't know. So there we go. It may be something that being said, it's not all bad. It's the world being. I don't do it. Yeah. We're gonna be. Like that. If they. They got therapy. Like I said, it needs to all be back is, you know, the girls they're used to the body structure well. Once it gets on. Yeah, that's true. Yes, they leave that one. I gotta respond. There. But they have that. They leave that well. There's a picture.
It's hard for some.
Oh, they do. I know you're on speak. I know. Yeah, they're starting. They have invested. Well, they did. My call is to start it at already good. Understand. The only ways. I got it. I'm not. It's gonna help. Well, I have been. So yeah. Yeah. We shouldn't.
Frustrating to be here and not be able to vote.
It'll just take some years. That's fine though.
Years.
It'll just take years to migrate.
Is that what it is? How long have you been on?
Once you,
Oh, thanks.
yeah, did you do your pre-qualified interview?
Thank you.
Yeah. So did you connect with- No. How long did it go? Abby, how long did it?
For many people haven't thrown for this thing. But I'll let you know. Rick over here is fixing. So that will be somebody, whoever's the first alternate probably. Oh, is that how it is? So it'll probably count. Okay. Sooner than later. It's the one.
Just
Repeatedly.
But
You want to do this one or you want me? You have to put that within the sheet. Oh, the old bar.
Bill feels valuable.
Yeah.
Session.
Well, and it's a good way to learn.
Oh, yeah, I wish that could have been it more.
Yeah.
I would've known more before I got here. So when will you decide on the P and Z thing?
Nobody's told me anything formally yet.
When's your commission expire?
This was in September.
So right now,
So yeah, this will be the last.
who else? Anybody else?
But they may have been. Yes. So respectful out there.
Who?
You.
Me?
All right, we are to reconvene at 7:21 for the Board of Adjustment meeting, and we will discuss item number 3. Does the staff have a presentation?
Can you read the agenda item, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
Public hearing to consider a variance to regulations found in the Bartonville zoning ordinance, section 20.3.c. The variance request to reduce the required setback for a screening fence along the applicant's property line adjacent to a public road. The property subject to the variance request is located at 568 Seals Road in the town of Bartonville, Denton County. The town of Bartonville file number for this application is VAR 2023-001. Would the staff like to make a presentation?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This application is, again, we've discussed a little bit. This is related only to the location of the fence. If the fence were see-through, it would not be an issue. It's the fact that it is not see-through and it is in close proximity to what is now considered due to the extension of Hat Creek, a side yard. So again, that is the only issue. It's not materials. It's simply location. Again, we could not find, although the conditions have changed since the interim town administrator and myself, the road was not necessarily platted. I think it was platted during her tenure. And once that road was platted, that is when that side yard was created, not when the road was constructed. So I think there's a lot of confusion. We don't require fence permits. So there was no review done on that as well. So again, I thought the property owner built on within 6 inches of their property line. They had a survey done, made sure it was on their side of the property, but without a fence permit requirement, we never went out and inspected location or dug into that. The materials again were approved by the building official. There is a question again, Mr. Voss can probably address this better than can I. It's the way that ordinance reads, this fence should be set back 15 feet from the right of way. not the road edge. So again, there's a little, from a layperson, I'd say there's some ambiguity in the ordinance. From the legal standpoint, Ed says I'm an idiot. So he says I'm incorrect. So the applicant is here. Again, this is only because it is a privacy fence, not a see-through fence, and the location of it. So if you look at the bottom of that on page 10 in your packet, if approved, that would allow the fence to stay in its current location. Because it is within the property owner's boundaries, but it does not meet that setback requirement in the zoning ordinance. Denial would require that the fence be moved southward no less than 15 feet from the property line, because that's where the right of way is. I'll answer any questions you may have, but again, the applicant is here to make their presentation as well.
Thank you.
And if you would swear them in, please.
All right. Would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Yes. Can you give us where is it first?
Yes.
Steve Addison, 560 Seals Road.
Marilyn Seals Addison, 568 Seals Road.
Okay. Thank you.
Lauren Self, 12450 Cartwright Trail, Ponder, Texas.
Our daughter.
Okay. Thank you. All right. You will raise your right hand. Oh. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Before we start, I'd like to maybe give you a little bit of history on our family and the situation, because this has been going on for over a year. And this is where it has ended with our fence. My husband's going to pass out some folders, some pictures Thad's good.
Thank you, sir.
And we've got lots of good photographs for you. We are a working farm. My parents have owned the property since 1955. We've actually been here on the property before Bartonville was even a town.
18 years before.
18 years before, right? So we are here and I am here to stay. So if you will look at the first page, I think you'll see there our hay and our hay production, which we are hoping that this rain will allow us to have a good year this year. And on the second page, you can see other types of hay production that we have done in the past. Okay. This third page here will show you the Deer Hollow subdivision where the cul-de-sacs are located. Now, when all of these plattings were going on this property used to be owned by my whole family. My brother and sister took their portion of it and decided that they would sell, leaving me the inside square of it. So I am surrounded on three sides by land that has been sold. And when roads were approved to be put in and suggestions made, we were not notified by the town or anyone. As a matter of fact, we never even knew when the land was actually sold. So we have been kind of left out of this loop all the way around. If you will notice in this drawing or this map here, the cul-de-sac is right up against my property line. Now, my property line was clearly marked on the bill of sale and all of the maps that accompanied that. And I know the developer was aware of where my property line was. My question is, how did they get approval to put a cul-de-sac that literally was up against my fence line? I don't think that follows your ordinances. So this is kind of what came first.
Let me
chicken or
make
the
a
egg?
quick comment here.
Yeah.
When we did find out about these roads being put in, I went to the then town administrator and voiced my opinion about having this right on our northern edge. I mean, it is literally it's a racetrack on our northern edge of our property. And I was told that, as long as Mr. Molo meets all the requirements for the road, then it's fine. And that he can maximize it, whatever he wants to do to maximize his property. It's him. Well, I was completely shut down. I found out later through a lawyer that that's not right. The town can move that road anywhere they want to. And so we didn't have the opportunity to do that. So I'll let you.
And if you'll turn the page then to page 4, I think you can see here is construction that is beginning on our property line right there, and how close it is to a round pen when we work all the time with, we do train horses on our property. We do also have some riding lessons, mainly for handicapped children. We do that voluntarily, and we have several children that like to come and ride. This was very invasive to that situation, and a lot of the parents were not comfortable with it either. In the bottom corner, you'll see that there's a horse standing right there. That was her pen, and look at the size of the equipment behind her. I do understand you need big equipment to put this kind of thing in, but it was awfully close to the property.
And
Go ahead.
And we actually had to euthanize one of our horses because of all of the constant stress and distress. And my vet can attest to that was the root cause of why we had to euthanize a horse, because of all of this. So.
Okay. The next page 5, you can see some of the utility lines that were being put in. And if you notice that they are on my property.
Most of them by feet, one by 5 feet and one by 7 feet.
And the bottom one on C is, completely over on my property. Had we not been attentive to this,
one was water and one was gas.
Well, and we also mentioned the workers said, "Oh, aren't you selling this?" I thought these were all lots being sold here. So the developer, I assume, had told them to put these cutouts in these various places along. So we had water cutouts in all the acreage, and on the backside, the same thing on the backside where we had another cul-de-sac we had to deal with. Gas and water.
Okay, next page, please, page 6. You can clearly see the property line marked there at the top right-hand corner of the first picture. But the land has been cleared completely around that stake on all sides, including mine.
Clear cut.
Clear cut.
They were marked by survey stakes and also purple no trespassing tape.
And other pictures. We have many we can supply. Okay, the next page. This is things that have been going on for the past year. The picture A shows trespassing people walking on our land, just out of the clear blue, deciding they'll just come through.
Because we have no fence line in that location.
Right. Remember, the outside part was sold off. So the interior did not have fencing.
We understand usually when a sale goes through of a property, when it's divided up, you get a chance to put fencing within that buyout, and that was never offered by anybody. So hence we have no exterior border fencing anymore, and just some of our interior horse pens is what we were left with.
Right. Picture B shows them, the workers there, literally camping out in a box that they were using, or a freight type thing. And they would sit there and have lunch and make comments at us and the children and whistle, and
they would video and record us on a regular basis. This is right outside our barn door. We're only 104 feet away from our barn to our property line. And these men, we have, again, you see no fence. There's no fence there. Would call out to us, video us, take pictures of us and our animals. And I'm out there a lot, my mother and myself and my 2 children, along with, some special needs children here and there. It was very uncomfortable.
And you can see there the number of people that were involved in this by looking at the other pictures. Okay, this is an incident report of times that I had and my daughter had called out and made calls to
PD, page 8.
page 8, I'm sorry, to get help on situations, either trespassing or
We actually reported to the town asking for
Right.
constant surveillance. Officer Martin can attest to that. He was the one that came out the most, thank goodness, because of the comfort level when you had 20+ workers, no fence right on the other side harassing you constantly. Felt very unsafe, very scary, not only for me, but my children. So we asked for some constant monitoring, and Officer Martin came out the most and actually sat out there with us several times, helping keep an eye on things.
And I also mentioned, I would get calls when I was up at the house to come down in my truck and I could do my laptop and work watching these workers. And at one point in time, they were hanging on our fence and I've got a donkey and they love to set this donkey off. And I literally had to get out of my truck and walk down with a shovel in my hand, down the fence line. And they got the message and they backed off. When males are around, they didn't have a problem. But with females, they were unbelievable. And my daughter understands Spanish and it is pretty brutal.
All right, next page 9. We are still having some issues with people who don't seem to know where the boundary lines are of whose property. Even though we have gone up and put tape, purple tape where we could. There's also been survey stakes put out, but many of the
Signs.
survey stakes have been uprooted,
Run over.
run over, not adhered to. We put signs out. You're looking at picture A. Those are pictures of trespassing of golf carts. See the tracks there.
That's 5 acres into our property.
Yes, this is 5 acres into our land. Golf carts there, looking at the bottom of the page where we've gotten pictures of this.
Yeah, there was posted no trespassing signs. And I also put T-posts up, drove them in the ground with purple on the top, but that means nothing to some individuals.
The next page, please, page 10, number A or letter A, you can see that there are bikers, dirt bikers racing up and down on the cul-de-sac. Again, it's 104 feet from my barn. It's less than that to the round pen. And at this time, there was no fence there, as you can see.
And
There's just a
they
property
were
line
raising
there.
their bikes up. We did call the police and they were caught.
Yes, they were.
These are guys from Lantana over here joyriding.
And they continue to use these both locations
Cul-de-sacs.
as drag strips. I have videos of a lot of the drag racing that's been going on up and down the cul-de-sacs on a regular basis.
We put cameras up to help us. We aimed these cameras towards the cul-de-sac area and we had trespassers come in and move the cameras. And this is an example of one of those that is now facing my barn.
Completely the other direction.
In fact, we had 3 different cameras moved. Therefore, somebody's trespassing. Okay. Part C is on the developer's land. But here again, these are children playing on top of a huge mound of dirt. There was no regulation there at all. And there was a pond at that time, our old pond there at the bottom of that hill. We were just waiting for some child to slide off and go into that pond. It did not happen. In the picture D, you'll see that there's 2 policemen there where we had asked for assistance to be sure that the children were safe. Okay. Next, page 11. You can see again all of the workers there. No fence line. What you do see there is a pasture fence that I had from before, but it does not go all the way around. It only goes partially. And part B, There's one of the workers who did not have a porta potty at the time using the restroom in front of us.
This was common practice to urinate in front of us and my children and my kiddos that would come to ride. These guys, there was no porta potty available. It was only at the entrance, more than a block and a half away. And
They
these
weren't going to
men,
walk over there and use it.
they chose not to use that, and to urinate in front of us. And page 12 is a continuation of that fun. This is human feces that was on our property multiple times, that I have had the pleasure of going to pick up on a regular basis.
And
Again,
police reports,
no porta
verified
potties in that area, available. And I don't believe that's the way you're supposed to do things.
okay, page 13. We are now coming up to the area where the fence in question was put up. This is again 104 feet from the my barn. They were getting ready to put in a utility line, and my fence does not even go the full length of my property by any means. It's only 500 feet. We only put it up in the area that was the most vulnerable and we had the most problems with. You can see here very large equipment being used. I know that people came out from the town and told them that they really shouldn't use quite such large equipment. They had to cut it by hand instead. And because they were ruining trees that were on our side.
They were going over the survey marks, running them over, damaging our trees, and they chose not to mind what the town had asked them to do in using hand equipment instead. And they were out the very next day with the big, large equipment doing it again. This is
The next
happens all the time.
page 14 will show you some of the trees I'm talking about. Going on to page 15, you can see that at this point, we had decided that we needed to do something to protect ourselves. So we investigated what the town required for fencing. And again, we did not get any instruction much as to what was.
Well, I had asked about permits.
Yes,
and
and
was
that
told
kind
there's
of
no
thing.
permits for this type of fencing. I asked about any ordinance about the size of the fence and so forth, and they said there were no city ordinances. So, and we did this on several occasions, and at that point, we said, okay, we're going to go have our survey. And when we paid for the survey all the way up to the back of the Seals Estates, which is lot number 5 on Seals Road,
Because the stakes had been again knocked down.
knocked down again by.
So we had to pay again.
And move. If you will look above the letter A, right above the green plant there, you'll see just a little kind of a nip there of the cul-de-sac. So you can see how very close it is to part of my land. So here we are again, there's no fence. This was just I don't know what,
Construction
it's a
barrier.
construction barrier where they put the green plastic to keep from erosion. So there is no, okay, page 16, you can see where the survey was done. The pink flags there are within, we've moved our fence line back by 6 inches so that it would not be on his land. And also it would mean that our fence was totally on our property. Okay, so we moved it back by 6 inches and you can see there that the cul-de-sac was already in. That kind of concerns me in the fact that, you know, we clearly had property line before his cul-de-sac was ever built, approved or anything. Next page. This is the fence in question. It is 500 feet. If I was going to have to pay to put a fence in, I wanted to put one in that wasn't going to deteriorate anytime soon. A see-through fence was certainly not what I needed for security purposes. That's a big issue.
Because people would park in that cul-de-sac is right outside our barn doors. So people would park in the cul-de-sac all hours, day and night, shine their lights into our barn, staring at us, watching us.
Holding up children. Do you see the pretty horses?
Yes, yes, all the time, parking there. They still do it to this day.
Now, let me mention on the fence, when you're talking about a privacy fence, that's a decorative wood fence to me on a corner lot in a residential neighborhood. This is a safety security fence. And we went to the contractor and said, we want the standard fence that meets all the requirements. And in fact, the town administrator had ordered a company to go out and inspect that fence. And there's in your packet there, not this one, but the one you
The
received
second,
from
first one you
last
received
from Thad, that shows that the fence
was okay
is
by
is-
Bartonville as
is-
being up to code and all of that.
and we were told there was no code.
We needed a fence that people couldn't climb over, crawl through, steal from us, come onto our property at all hours of the night because this is the pasture. This is an ag pasture. This is not the backyard of my parents' house.
That the other thing that we're worried about is stealing of equipment, stealing of horses, things of that nature. This fence really stops that. If you have a see-through fence, a wire fence, they could easily cut through a wire fence. And we would lose our animals. We had to go back through, and before, all we had were clips on all of our gates. We had to go back through and get
Padlocks.
chains and padlocks on our gates in
Every
not only
location.
in the field here, but in our south field. Because we have people
Still,
that would come up to the gate and open it and walk right through. So we had to start locking all of our gates. And we have 14 lots that are going to be built around this property.
And that
Yes.
hasn't even started yet. So you can imagine the construction and people that we'll have to deal with in the same area.
continued.
For years.
Okay, the next picture, again, on page 18, it shows you the end of our fence. It's 500 feet long.
Note the shed, how close.
And note in picture B, how close the back of the horse shed is there on the right-hand side. Horses are housed in there. In fact, that is the area where my horse he was just terrified by all
That was
the,
euthanized.
yes. Okay, page 19 will kind of give you a better aerial view of how it was. Okay, what you're seeing here is partially pins, but there's my round pin. There, you can see it. And it's the shed, how close it is. Now the barn is a little further away, but I have two sheds that are very close there. And you can see how close that is. If you'll turn to page 20, you'll see the other side of this security fence. This is the west end. It actually stops. You see, I have a shed there. I did not even continue the fence on down past to cover the utility area that was put in. So people are still able to walk right over there. And at the bottom, you can see where it ends there on the left-hand side. The final picture there on the last page, you can see my barn there, the rooftop of my barn from my fence. And that is, the cul-de-sac is you can see nip of it there in the lower right-hand corner. And there is a picture of the barn.
Photo B, we're standing at the fence and you can see how close, and that is the bubble part, the dead end part of the cul-de-sac right there outside our barn.
I appreciate that people think that it's a beautiful piece of property and they are interested in what we're doing over there and the horseback riding and what we do with our animals, but
Not at the cost of safety.
yes. Yeah.
And our biggest problem is this will continue with the various workers and construction people that'll be on the property. And we've got on that side alone, there are 4 lots along that northern bridge that we're going to be dealing with. So
We
We're
would
asking.
like to
Keep our fence.
keep our fence if we can, with a little bit of security. Thank you. If you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer any.
yeah, Joe.
I get this full.
It's black.
Page. I was out there Monday.
Oh, were you, sir? Good.
I was there too.
And page 15C. The original fence. Your beautiful white little horses there. They said hello.
Ah,
And I asked them what they felt, but they wouldn't, they didn't.
they didn't say,
That's
did
the-
the donkey let you know she was
She
glad
won't
to
lie.
see you?
The donkey won't lie.
The original fence comes straight along the road and then turns. And when you built, if you go to page 19, picture B, you can see the original fence. There's an angle. The original fence that's still there, no, the original, is the same distance from the property line as the metal fence. Is that?
No, the metal,
Or what happens with the property? It's really hard to tell where the property line is because
Yes.
that
Right.
well, that's
cul-de-sac,
because it's all been ripped out.
well, the cul-de-sac is massive,
Well, and the fences that were there, the pasture, the pins where the horses pastures are,
right?
were interior pins. It was never an exterior property
Fence.
line.
There was a separate property line that went behind the shed that I showed you on the west
And the-
end. And it went through the trees. It was an antique fence, granted, but it
19
was there. It was put in by the Civil Corps of Engineers when my dad
Purchased it
purchased the property.
from the Gibbons.
So it had been
My
there.
question, the original fence that you can see is how far from the property line? It's a
It-
double fence.
Oh, yes.
It
from-
is.
So
yeah.
the outside of the double fence, how far is that from the
I
property?
don't
line?
know.
Oh, I
Because
don't know.
the metal fence is in
It-
line with it.
No, it's on the,
The metal
Yeah,
fence
the
is on.
metal fence is
Yeah,
on the
the
property
The
line,
metal fence is what, 6 inches?
which
Yes,
was
6
where the
6 inch
original
setback.
Yes.
fence
And it
was.
is, and it goes.
Okay,
it
the
hooks-
original fence was there.
Correct.
Yes.
So
We-
it was a straight line all the way
Yes.
across. So
Correct.
the metal fence was 6 inches.
It
from the
was, and
property line.
it was a 5-strand barbed wire fence.
Right.
It was there.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out that the. original
Yes, but
fence
what you're
was
getting confused
also
about,
within 6 inches
The original fence was on it.
Was
on the
Yes.
property.
So the original fence was 6 inches more forward,
6 inches. You just put the
north.
metal fence where the original.
We put the
fence-
metal fence 6 inches south.
And
So,
that's how you got. in front.
correct.
now, all of that is in, I'm sure, all the maps with the bill of sale.
Yeah, Teresa would have it.
She would have all of the fence line and
How
property
old
line.
was that original fence? I mean, that's been there a long time.
Since the 50s.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, it was Civil Corps of Engineer stuff. I mean, it was, Dad told me it was surplus World War II,
Okay,
which is probably why part of it was still standing.
so you never
They don't like it
questioned
like
it. You simply said, well, we're gonna put up a privacy
Well,
fence and you just.
Well,
put it right where the-
we had to put up a security fence, period. And we did approach the town and ask if there were ordinances and told no ordinances and no permit needed. So we proceeded and I mean, just the survey was $1,000 just to do the survey. To put back the stakes that had been knocked down by the contractor that came through to build the roads. And the water company, the gas companies, they could care less. They just knock
Yeah.
them over.
We had to raise stink to get those moved.
The original fence then, but that's still there, is 6 inches from the.
It's not
property.
still there.
It's not still there. It was all taken down.
That's,
We removed, it was all removed
it all got.
To put the new fence up.
and to put the new up.
Correct.
Because we had to do it offset 6 inches.
Okay.
Correct.
And when they got ready to put in the
And-
easement for
and
the
when you were out
utilities,
there,
they took out.
You
what
saw
was
the
there.
horses in the field down there and you did you see that?
White
that
tape.
White tape going all the way around?
On the inside.
Yeah.
We put that up.
We had to put that in. It's
So people would
electrified.
stop touching and feeding our horses through the fence because they could get sick and die.
It's electric or something.
It is electric.
It is electric.
It's electric
But
on the
it
inside.
keeps- It keeps the horses away from the fence.
Yeah.
And you know, it may be innocent, but you know, you feed horses carrots, they feed them apples, you feed them pears. Well, it's high sugar content
Yeah.
compared to what they've been eating.
I mean, you don't go
And
by somebody's
You can have a
backyard
horse founder for that.
and feed their dog through the
Well,
fence. I
we,
mean,
we had to get a vet out because one of the horses got a pear. They don't know. They swallowed and
Mhm.
it stuck. And so we had to get a pear removed.
we had to have emergency
And
surgery.
so we said, you know what, we got to put it, we're forced now to go put an offset. So we've lost 6 inches of grazing on that entire northeast field. We use it for hay, but the last 2 years we've had so little rain. We've
Yes.
had constant, grazing, but that's the offset. When you want to know what that fence was, it's there to keep the horses away from the fence.
And people away from the horses.
Anything else?
Do you anticipate making it any longer than what you have? You said you had 500 feet. I mean,
No, ma'am, that's our point of most vulnerability at this point.
Yes.
And it's the access to the hay barn, which if you looked on the page 2, you can see the hay barn there. That is where the fence butts up to.
We don't want to
Is
lose
a-
hay either.
Well, when we have hay, it's full of hay. When it's not, we put our equipment in there during the time when there's no hay there.
Tractors.
I had to
skid
move
steers,
my tractor, my skid steer up to our house
400 feet away.
so that, just for security, because I was worried about somebody, stealing that equipment.
Our horse trailer.
We
everything.
can't lock our barn. We did go through and we pulled out. I mean, things like gas powered weed whackers and put them up in our garage. And we have the security cameras on the barn and on the pole barn. I also added additional security cameras to my house. So I've now got 6 security cameras all around my house and
We can see the road.
so we can see the road, we can see everything. We have contractors to this day. In fact, they were the utility guys.
Electrical utility came
So
through
th-
2 weeks ago.
They were gonna go pull through the conduit that runs right up to the power line that's on lot 5 of Seals Road. And they pull right into, all the way down to our barn.
The front
With this-
through 568
the-
Seals Road because they said they had access to the development through my parents' front
They were
road.
told that by the contractor.
And that's not the
And-
first time that's
And
happened.
so, it's unbelievable what,
It's
and
constant.
and
It's
it-
constant.
for some reason, Google Maps does not have this Deer Hollow on set up yet.
I will tell you, it was hard to find that fence.
Mhm.
It was
Yeah,
very hard to
Which
find the
makes it
fence.
very hard when we're
Yeah.
told that we need to call.
Well, I will also tell you that not
Yes.
all construction workers act like
Yeah.
that. We have a commercial construction business and I would be appalled
I
if
wish
my guys
you
acted
were
like
here.
that.
That would have been.
I would
lovely.
be appalled.
Maybe you can help give
It
advice.
was,
So.
Well, any other
any other
questions?
questions? Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Mhm.
hearing us.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Anyone else want to talk in favor?
If you'll open the public hearing, please.
Oh, okay. Thank
I
you.
know, staff report and presentation goes a little long. Sometimes
Oh,
it's hard
okay.
to remember
All
that.
right. So now I will open the public hearing at 7:56 PM. Does anyone want to voice their opinion?
Please state your name and address.
Wayne Hoyt, 575 Seals Road.
Does he need to swear in or not? He does?
So,
Okay.
public hearing.
All right.
Um,
Wait a minute, I have to swear you in.
Oh,
Do you
I
swear
thought that
or
was just-
affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes,
Thank you.
I have questions though. Not testimony. I guess I'm sort of missing some of what this whole thing is about. I mean, I understand the setback and stuff and needing the variance, but so right away in in the setback, why is it only on the onus of one property owner and not the other? I know at my house, there's right away going down both sides. We have a fence, my neighbor's there, I'm here, and there's a right of way. I don't know if that's a lawyer thing. Or is that a question even?
For that one on this.
So it's just a non-thing?
I mean, could he come into the town and ask you that question? And then you could answer it. He just can't answer.
All right, we need to stick with the.
Because it doesn't
the
pertain to
Variance
this.
request that's here, not another hypothetical.
I answer hypotheticals not in Board of Adjustment all day long.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He could come to the town and ask you the question and you can answer it. then.
Just seems to me if it goes one way, it should go the other way and move the road.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Does anyone else have anything to say? For or against? Anyone against? Okay, yes, you may come. Please state your name and address, and then I'll swear you in.
It's Mike Morrow. Right now I'm at 728 Village Green Road in Argyle.
Okay.
I
Do you
just,
Swear. Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm the developer. And I purchased this land from the family on the open market. What the developer does is he gets a piece of land. I'm not an engineer. I hire an engineer firm. They come up with a plan, which is the greatest use and the greatest yield of the property. That's what we did. We went through zoning. We went through P and Z. We went through pre-plat. We went through plat. So the town of Bartonville approved everything. Granted, the cul-de-sac is where it is. Well, if you've got a border of a property, you're going to start your street on the corner and try to maximize your yield that you just purchased. So yeah, it's all, they say they weren't notified. There's been plenty of notification going. So I hired a engineer firm. We got the plans approved through the forces that be, or the protocol, whatever you have to do. And then I hire a contractor to go in there and put utilities in and streets and this, that, and the other. And, I understand where the family's coming from. I met them before we even started construction. I introduced myself. And I understand the emotional attachment. It's land, it's family, and I get it. And I'm not here to fight with people. I'm here, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been building homes, and I bought a piece of property and I went on with my business. And did my contractor accidentally put a gas standard 3 feet over the property line? Yeah, they did. It's called a mistake. There's no malice. There's nothing intentional. I don't want to fight with these folks. I don't want to fight with anybody. My goal is to create these lots. And I'm going to build some homes. And I'm meeting y'all's land use plan with 5-acre lots. We've got nice wide streets. The cul-de-sac that they're talking about, a standard cul-de-sac is 60 feet. We've got 80-foot cul-de-sacs in there. They're big, wide, nice roads, and this will be the nicest development that Bartonville has. It's a huge tax revenue for the town of Bartonville. And the folks that I've got 14 lots. My family, my wife is right there. We're going to build our home on the property that we bought. So we're not the developer that comes in and says, how many pieces of the pie can we get? Let's sell them and get out of town. Go do another one. I'm going to live there with my 2 kids, my wife. And so I'm looking at it a little bit different way. As the builder, I could have sold all these lots probably within 90 days. I chose to do it a little bit differently. I want to build every home. So when I have a client come to me and they want a lot, well, they got to deal with Mike Mallow and my partner's Brett Rather. It's Mallow Rather Custom Homes. I've got about 30 years experience. My partner has about 10. He's a lot younger than me. He's a lot more energy than me, and it's a wonderful thing. So this is a legacy project for me. So where they have pride in their land, as they should, I've got pride in the land that I purchased from their family. So I am a steward of this land, and it is important to me because I am a Bartonville resident, and I'm going to have my thumbprint on this project for the rest of my life. So it is in my best interest to do it as much quality as I can. I don't build a lot of homes a year, but I build some really big, expensive homes. And that's what I like. I don't like just messing around where I build a house, try to knock one out in 9 months and move on down the road. We take our time. We've got unbelievable clientele that's moving in this area that is coming to Bartonville. They're from the surrounding areas. A couple of them are coming from Hat Creek, which is right adjacent to my property. They saw the value of the land. The land is gorgeous. We're going to have 5-acre, heavily treed lots. And I've got two of my clients sitting there right now. And they're wonderful. They've got 4 kids, each family. They're great people. So we are bringing a very, very high caliber new Bartonville resident to Bartonville that is going to be, it's going to do great things for this little town with just with the tax base. So I can tell you, by the time I sell some folks a lot and we build their house, just on the budgets we've run so far, we're going to start at about $4.5 million. That is a huge, substantial home, lot, everything. So what you're doing is you're getting this quality build, these very nice homes and these great people, and you're just making the area better. And I understand what they're going through and I feel for them, and I've never done anything to intentionally make them angry, because that's not my goal. I need to get along with everybody. All I've got is my name, but my building company. So I want people to think I'm a pretty good guy. Now, not everybody does. They don't certainly think I am. And we've had mistakes. And that's why I've hired really big contractors that have very deep pockets. So they should probably look at the contractor from a legal standpoint, because there's going to be mistakes. Construction is construction. There's a lot of stuff. And I didn't get to see the packet that y'all looked at. I don't know the pictures. But I can tell you from living where my personal house touched, my lot in Hat Creek touches this land that I purchased. We've been there for a little bit over 2 years at the time. They've had people on their property forever. Because of the proximity of my house, they would call the police on people trespassing and doing things on their property, which they have a right to. But what I'm telling you is, I'm not the bad guy that just comes blown into town and all these bad things start happening. They've had people. I've seen the police 3 different times that I've talked to saying, "What do y'all?" Because they're coming up my easement road on my old lot. And I said, "Oh, we got trespassers back here. There's kids drinking. There's 100 red Solo cups back there." And, so that's just the nature. We're in the country. I grew up in Plano in the 70s, and Plano used to be like this. And we used to go cross people's fences, ride our YZ80 dirt bikes. And, so that's just part of it, what they're going through. It's not, this isn't a new problem that has happened since Mike Malo purchased the land. It's a fact. And there's other landowners in Bartonville that are going through the exact same stuff as they're going through. So with that being said, I cannot control the contractors. I hire them out and they do their, then they get subbed out. So that's not Mike Malo's employees that are doing that or might not be doing that, because I don't have proof of anything. I've had the police called on me probably 10 times for various reasons. I've never gotten a citation. I've never gotten a ticket. I've never gotten arrested because I really haven't done anything wrong. When they reference the kids playing on the dirt pile, that's that young lady's land right there. That was her lot. She was with them and they were her kids. So, do you want to call the cops on the kids that are playing on the land that they own with their mother? I don't know, but that's, so it goes both ways. I've never done anything intentionally to do anything that, that would make them mad. That would make me mad if I was in their shoes. There were guys they live in Hat Creek and everybody wants to see the new development. They're driving around in their golf carts and they got on their property, which they're riding golf carts, the husband and the wife and the kids, little kids, 5-6-year-old kids. They're looking at the deer. I named it Deer Hollow because there's a ton of wildlife back there. It's gorgeous. And the sun goes down, the deer come out, and they're taking them back there to show their kids the wildlife. And they probably did cross across their line. They weren't doing anything intentional. And they had a high-powered rifle pointed at them as they're driving on their golf carts with the kids.
No, that's not. That is not.
Okay.
Please know that is not.
Call. All right. Enough. Thank you.
So basically, I can't control what happens. Right now, the town of Bartonville has accepted it. It's a platted subdivision. People can go back there, people can walk back there. This is the United States of America. I think we said the Pledge of Allegiance to start this meeting off, and people are exercising their right to go drive around back there. So that's just going to happen. And I'm sorry that they're caught up in the growth, but it is what it is. And yeah, we're going to build houses back there. We started the first one, actually. We got our permit, I think on last week, Friday or something, or
I believe that's
yeah,
correct.
so we will start construction. I've got every lot but 3 of them sold. And the 3 that we haven't sold are the ones where that face their fence that they put up. So the fence is wrong. It's in the wrong spot. It's ugly. You guys all sitting here in front of me are not doing this for your health. You're doing this because you appreciate Bartonville and you appreciate what we have here because we got something good. And what they've done, it's a spiteful move. And it does not match what Bartonville is trying to do. You guys would have never made me do 5-acre lots. From a developer standpoint, that's a gutsy move. It costs a fortune. And now I got to sell 5-acre lots. It's a lot easier to sell a 2-acre lot than a 5-acre lot. So basically it's been so well received. All the folks that I have are unbelievable. They're all professional business owners and it's just going to be an unbelievable neighborhood. And when that fence went up, I got all sorts of calls from my clients going, what is going on here? They thought I put it up. I went out there, I was like, guys, no, I didn't put this up. I said, I don't know what's going on. And then that started the inquiry. And so not only is it in the right of way, but it's ugly. It is not the look that Bartonville is going for. And again, I'm trying to see both sides of this because they're nice people and it's their land that's been in their family forever. And I get it. I absolutely get it. I mean, it just reminds me of Yellowstone, sitting here listening to all this stuff. And so the fact is that they put the fence up and it's not meeting the Bartonville standard. And I would ask you guys to please consider, and I wouldn't even have a problem. Thad or somebody said if it was see-through, I don't know these rules. I mean, I really don't. If it's see-through, it doesn't matter. I don't know what that means, but I wouldn't want them to spend money to have to relocate the fence.
Thank you.
But let's get the ugly panels taken down. And we're gonna have some beautiful homes and great people back there.
Thank you. I
So-
think you've made your point. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
All right. Well, thank you all for letting me speak. Appreciate it.
Does anyone else want to speak? Please state your name and address.
Hunter Mahan, 5314 Ursula Lane, Dallas, Texas.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
As Mike said, I'm one of the purchasers of the land over in Deer Hollow. I'm a husband to Candy Mahan. We have 4 children. We're neighbors to the Folsoms, who also have 4 children. This is going to be a neighborhood of children and families. And that's one of the things that makes us so excited to move to the town of Bartonville, is to be, as my daughter would say, city country, close enough to the city, but in a place that feels like you are in the country, and you can be surrounded by amazing horses right in front of our property with the road. We can see their white horses that are amazing. We plan on having some Shetland ponies and things on our property as well. The things that we love about Bartonville are the farms and the openness and the things that make it feel like a country place, but you're right next to Dallas and Fort Worth. So it's a place that we want our family to be and feel obviously secure and safe. No one should feel scared to live in their homes. And it's amazing to have a police officer who's can come as often as we need. And we just feel very proud to be in this town, to be able to speak to y'all and to be a part of it in this great way. Being in Dallas, you don't have these sort of opportunities to kind of look at your neighbors in the face and talk to them. So this is a great opportunity, and this is a beautiful place we live in. Also, concerning about the fence, we were thinking, since you guys don't have ordinances on the fence, how do we know that the fence is put in correctly? What if there's high winds or tornadoes and this aluminum and metal could fall off the fence and fly into our homes or fly just around? I'm not sure. That's kind of a question I guess I have.
You probably have to go into town hall and get your answer. That's not really what's on the table tonight.
Okay, I'm just curious. Then we'll go do that. So I guess thank you for the opportunity to speak. But as Mike said, it is metal fencing is very interesting because I don't know where that big starts and how other people don't do that. I have never seen metal fencing anywhere around this neighborhood. Everything seems to be wide open in Hat Creek, and there seems to be a pretty consistency to almost every house and every property kind of looks the same. And it's sort of its own beauty. And I think that's what makes the town of Bartonville and the surrounding areas pretty amazing. So thank you.
Does anyone else want to speak?
Oh, again, Teresa Rather. I am the broker that brokered the property for the family, and I'm also the broker for the development. And heartbreaking, hearing the story of the landowners. I actually knew her dad. I don't know if y'all been around long enough at Evelyn's. He would bring his sweet wife in a wheelchair, and beautiful, beautiful family. So he set the property up in a way that the siblings wouldn't fight. Well, I've been doing real estate almost 40 years, and this is one of the saddest family history events I've seen just with the family, because there's 3 siblings. They all 3 had the property there. Unfortunately, the other 2 siblings, were not allowed on the property. Lots, 5 years plus in lots of legal battles, nightmare. All 3 siblings are wonderful humans, and it was such a shame to witness all of it. So when Marilyn was saying she wasn't in the loop, is because her siblings would not let her in the loop because they weren't speaking, only through attorneys. And barns were placed on their land and they weren't having access to it. I tried to show it and got the police called. And anyway, I don't know. It's heartbreaking. It is Yellowstone, but Bartonville. But going back to the property, I am a broker. These are 14 fabulous lots. I have sold every one except the ones that are backing up to the panel. People drive up and they think it's a junkyard. It's the hood. Like, why are we, this is not Bartonville. This is, these people are building $3 to $5 million homes. This is a loss of tax revenue if we can't sell these lots. And the developer, coming in to build, he's at a loss. This is a huge financial burden on everybody. Bartonville's not a scared city. I don't know, it's not what Bartonville is. I'm been out in this area for decades. I recently downsized and simplified, but I'm very much attached into this community and love this community. Lived in Bartonville. I lived at 760 Dove Creek, raised my family there. And like I said, I knew the Seals. I know a lot of the old families and stuff. But bottom line is, we were very surprised because when we made a complaint, Mike made a complaint, it was over the material. We were dumbfounded. I was dumbfounded today to find out we're just talking about a variance on the footage. Our main complaint is the material. We're not in the county. This is something to be proud of, Bartonville. And if you guys are leaning toward approving this variance, I would encourage everybody to maybe table this and actually go drive and physically look at it and see if you want to represent and approve this actual fence. Because as Mr. Mahan was saying, the danger, if something does fly, these are kids out here that they have their precious animals. These are panels. Across the street, there's a barn. It's the same material. I've never seen fencing in Bartonville or Argyle or Deep Ellum. I mean, anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything to say? Okay, I will close the public discussion at 8:21. So do we want to discuss this?
And our decision is based on not the material and the fence or any of that. It's on the setback requirement, correct?
That is
We can't
correct.
judge on anything else.
When the complaint first came in, I sent the building official out. He deemed it to be sturdy, durable, and relatively maintenance free, which is in our ordinance. So again, there's discussions about materials. Those are not to be considered tonight. It's simply the location. Again, once we found that piece out, then we found out that was considered a side yard and we had to come through this process.
What would be the setback if it wasn't considered a side yard?
It could be on the property line.
Okay.
But it depends on if it's a rear yard or that simply depends on the location. Again, this being a side yard with the road going in, that's the setback. I can't answer that specifically with any accuracy because I wasn't prepared for that question. And I don't have my
Sorry.
planner. That's okay. It's okay. There's nothing wrong asking. I just don't want to lead you astray.
Okay.
Most of the time, privacy fences on rear yards can be right on the property line.
Thank you.
So Dale, to your point, this is purely about a reduction in the fence setback. Nothing, we're not considering anything else right now.
That is correct.
Discussion.
I just have one comment too, is that the criteria for approval is on page 38 that we are looking to approve it off of. The criteria for approval is on page 38 of the packet, since it's been a while since we went over that was the requirement, so that when we vote, that's what we have.
It's also on page 10, which is the backup for this agenda item.
No, go ahead. You want it.
I looked over the criteria to decline. And I can't see any reason in the criteria to decline them having it like it is. They don't apply the criteria that are here. And A through I, to some degree, all agree that we should allow the variance as it is. Anybody else comment about that?
I'm willing to make a motion.
Okay.
I would motion to approve it based on C, D, E, G, and H, with G being the most prominent. The hardship or inequity suffered by the petitioner is not self-inflicted. And maybe years down the road when all the developing's gone, maybe the fence can come down if they feel comfortable with it. But I would I would move to approve the motion based on C, D, E, G, and H.
I would second that motion.
Okay. You want to vote? Everyone that agrees or approves, all in favor, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay. So now are we going to item 6? Okay. Okay, item 6, there's a public hearing do I need to say the time again? Okay, okay. Public hearing to consider a variance to regulations found in Bartonville zoning ordinance 19.3.e. The variance request to permit the applicant to construct an accessory dwelling that exceeds the 1,000 square foot maximum allowance. The property subject to the variance request is located at 1416 West Jeter in the town of Bartonville, Denton County, Texas. The town of Bartonville file number for this application is VAR 2023-003. Does staff have a presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Chair. The application here again is for an accessory dwelling that exceeds the 1,000 square foot maximum permitted by ordinance. This dwelling as proposed actually contains 2,485 square feet. The proximity, I think we've got the wrong item in your packet. The original, the original site plan had the structure replacing an old garage. And that was within a setback, so they have moved it to this location so that it does meet minimum setback requirements from the side. It is also, our planner has deemed that it meets the distance requirements from the other structure. So the only variance you are considering at this time is not related to distances, it's related to square footage. So again, it exceeds the 1,000 square feet by 1,485 square feet. Staff has received 3 emails in support of this variance. And we did not receive anything opposed to the variance. And I'll answer any questions you may have. And the applicant is here.
Okay, so do I need to ask you questions first or let him speak or them speak?
Whichever.
Whatever you
do. Discussions.
Okay, I'll let him speak then. Okay. Would the applicant like to speak? Thank you.
I'm so sorry. I have no voice.
Uh-oh.
I'm the owner at 1416 West Cheater Road, Courtney Langard. This is my builder.
Carl Honfeld, I can speak. 3824 Lindcrest Drive in Fort Worth.
Okay. I need to swear you in. Let me find my paper so I get it right. Whoops, that's not it. Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
My client, I'll speak for her, has approached us about building or has hired us to build an accessory building. The use of the building replaces an old garage and also, I think, quarters. Yeah, the four stall barn and apartment as well as a garage. That was removed to build this structure, which has I guess, an entertainment space for some clients, family, as well as there's a workshop in there to help utilize the full benefit of the property that they own.
Our house is very small. Well, my husband and I just had a son. We have a 20-month-old son. So we have our master room and then we have 2 other rooms. And we also have, I have 2 stepdaughters. So we are big family people. We want to be able to have guest rooms and be able to bring all of our family in town and be able to be on the property together. So it has a garage and then it has a little space for my husband to work. And then it has a little living area and a pool table and stuff and a small kitchen and then 2 guest bedrooms. And we're going to face it towards our house right now and make a really cool barn. It'll be very beautiful. We're going to redo the outside of our house now. We've talked to our closest neighbor. We are affected by it. Without any kind of, we have any issues with the building, stuff like that. She's like, she was one of the ones that gave her blessing. So I'm so sorry. I had to fly back from Marshall right now, and I have to fly back out in a second. So I just, but I really want to do this project. It's going to be very beautiful and just help with the whole property.
So how far would it be from your house?
It's 48 feet. The 2 are basically connected. We're actually going to make some doors on our existing house to connect the 2 spaces together.
So is it on the same septic and, or does it have to have its own septic?
I think we're adding a septic. Current plan is to add a septic.
Do you have any intentions of leasing this property out or, you know, I mean, renting it or anything like that in the future?
My husband are around people all day long, and all we want is our own space. That's our own plan. We've got a conditional use permit. We built a big barn on our property. Of course, we'll have some clients up to like have dinner because they're like family, but we have this is our personal space.
I can assure you the building that we're building is no rental property. No rental property at all.
They plan to continue living in the smaller property or
That will be the
move
primary
to-
residence, yes.
or move to the one she's building. Will she be moving to the one she's building or?
No, they're living in the existing house. They're going to continue to live in the existing house as
Okay.
well.
Will this be more considered a commercial space or would it just be your personal space?
Personal space.
Okay, because I noticed you have a lot of different areas in the building plans.
What are you referring to? I'm sorry.
Well, just as far as a shop and a gun room and different things and arcades and TVs and.
Yeah, my husband likes to bring his tractors up and wash them and his gator and gets like the little motorcycles and stuff. So, and he's a hunter. He wants an area to be able to do his meat and stuff like that.
It's also going to serve as a garage for the main residence as well. So it'll also be, it's essentially a separate garage.
So are you giving them, or maybe since you said this, are you giving them, you're giving me the impression that maybe you're going to drive through the kitchen area or the TV or the arcade area, or will that all be enclosed?
It's all enclosed.
Okay. Thank you. Y'all have questions?
And there'll be no permanent residence in that property in the new building.
It's just gonna have 2 guest bedrooms. One has bunk beds because we have a lot of cousins and stuff. And then another one, which is like a master.
Obviously, we're concerned about it becoming a rental. Because
Understood.
that's the whole part of what's our concern. And since it's bigger than the house, we kind of wondered what's going on.
It's no rental, I assure you.
Most of us went and looked at it, so we understand.
What's the square footage of your actual living? And the living area of the new building will be,
Be 485.
so the main house will actually still be bigger living quarters. Okay.
We have windows in the kitchen, gonna be doors. So you can use the our bedroom.
Okay.
So have you considered? Right now, of course, you plan on staying there, but about the future, if you tried to sell it, you're not going to subdivide or anything. You plan on staying there and keeping the whole property as a whole, your 15 acres, is it 15 acres?
I actually think that by doing this, it would be more appealing to someone that would want our property if we ever did do that. Because we have a very big, beautiful barn. And our house is not suitable for someone who wants that property. They're gonna want more house with something nicer up there. So that's what I do. But we have no plans of selling it for a long, long, long time. Hopefully never. Hopefully it'll go to my son and he'll train horses there.
And again, another aspect of that, just from builder, I don't know how you would subdivide it. It just wouldn't be subdividable if you ask me, with the way these are positioned on the property. They're
The
mostly,
existing metal building behind the proposed garage.
It's a storage, little storage room thing that was there when we bought it.
oh, okay, go ahead. You need to close.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll close the public hearing at.
Open it first.
I'm sorry.
What sheets told me.
It's step number 7. You know, there's so many of them in this.
Okay, all right. Now I will, thank you. Open the public hearing at 8:36. Anyone want to speak? Are y'all open for discussion? Do I need to close the public hearing at 8:36?
So Thad, did you get any emails from any neighbors or anything?
On this one, this is the one I received three
Three.
in favor of. Again, one of them is the property just to the north that would be in closest proximity to the construction. Yes, it is the one that's right there.
Is there any other problem other than the size of it?
No, sir. They meet by moving it off of where the original garage was, they now meet the setback for the property line. The original plan did not, this one does, and they meet the proximity to each other. It's simply the size that y'all have to determine.
Because the driveway is, for me, it's kind of on the top side. There's no concern with the garage being in front of the house at all, any part of the garage.
No, it's not considered an issue on this one.
I'll motion to approve the variance. Are we ready to do that?
That's up to your chair.
That's fine with me if y'all want to. All right, so y'all want to take a vote?
We need to
Do,
motion and second.
okay,
So I motion to approve the variance petition.
okay.
received today.
Second. Or what,
If you would,
I need to read something.
look at those criteria.
Oh.
Maybe D. Okay.
Based on D, granting the variance petition will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, welfare, or injurious to other parties within the area.
Have a second.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, so this,
All in favor?
all in favor? Okay. You need names? Okay, it's approved. Okay, thank you.
He has to get back to the airport. She
Uh-oh.
literally flew in and has to get back trying to catch the plane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, that's all staff has.
Okay, all right, I move to close this meeting at 8:39 PM. It's a good thing planning and zoning is not behind us.
Oh my gosh.
It's bedtime.
You got some VIPs in here.